Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend Lisa Gottlieb, the director of Just One of the Guys, and I'm having her back on the podcast to promote her appearance at Retro Invasion in, I can't remember the actual state, somewhere in the Midwest. And we're going to talk about that today and talk about maybe some other things. And I'm excited to have her back on. Lisa's really cool and really a lot of fun. And it's going to be pretty insightful too, as well. So, here is my new interview with Lisa Gottlieb.
Hey.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty okay. It's been an interesting week.
Has it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when people say interesting in that tone, it usually means there was some fucked upness involved.
Oh, yeah. Lots of fucked upness.
Difficult week?
I'm sorry?
Difficult week?
Difficult week, yes. But I got so much happy stuff on the way.
That's super. Yeah, well, for me too, it's been really difficult lately. I have a 92-year-old mother who was the healthiest, most independent person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And like about 4 or 5 months ago, she had a real problem. She couldn't walk. She was in pain. So since then, she had a hip replacement. She was in rehab for ages. I finally got her home. She lives 4 hours away from me, but I kind of had to take on all this grown-up responsibility. I'm not used to that. I like being immature.
Yeah. Don't we all?
So it got in my way. I mean, I had to do it. It's fine. It's really important to do those things when the time comes. But still, I kept thinking, gee, this is no fun.
Yeah, that's often the case.
I know you want to talk about Retro Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That we get together and record another hour of that, or 40 minutes, whatever it is we do.
Yeah, 25, 30 minutes, tops.
Oh, 30 minutes, great. I will say that I've never been to Retro Weekend before, and I can tell from all the emails and all the threads. I know that there's, the usual fabulous group of crazy superfans. But I haven't been there, and I know that Joe's been great, and he's flying me in on Thursday and flying me back on Monday because he's having an opening party on Thursday, and he wants us to all stay late on Sunday. So very different from the Hollywood show,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of we all rolled in late on Friday, or just people showed up Saturday morning, and even by Sunday afternoon, we were kind of wrapping up and leaving. So this is clearly a bigger deal. I may have some cool stuff to sell, so I can talk about that.
Nice.
Making a book out of all the call sheets, which is fun.
Nice.
I don't know if anybody's going to want that. They have to be a pretty serious geek fan of the movie, but that's the kind of stuff. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think we're going to talk about? What do you want to cover?
Yeah, you can mention all that stuff, and mention, how it's been when you go to these signings and stuff.
Oh, sure. Okay. That's fair. That's what we'll do. Well, we can let it rip anytime you're ready. I have my bottle of water in front of me and a little bit of tea. I think there's a cough drop here that I can grab just in case.
Okay.
So I'm ready to rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. So last time, you were about to do the Hollywood show. So how did the Hollywood show go?
Oh, it was awesome. Are we on?
Yeah.
Okay. I loved the Hollywood show. It was so great. I got there, and of course, the first thing that happened was there I was with my cast. I was with all these wonderful actors I'd worked with and have known and been friends with for years, and we all kind of reconfigured into who we were when we were making the film. So the Hollywood show was great. Spending the weekend with them. The Animal House guys were there, and they were great too, and an amazing bunch of people and a lot of fans. I kept telling everyone, well, you're the faces on the screen. Everybody wants your autographs and your photos and to take pictures with you. They won't want to do it with me, but I'll hang out with you here anyway. And the truth was, I posed for a lot of pictures, signed a lot of autographs, met a ton of fans for whom the movie meant a lot. And that also means a lot to me. I really love that it stays with people, that it gets under their skin, and all those years later, they remember how they felt. So, that one worked for me. So when Joe called me and said, come join us at Retro Weekend, I like being a forward-thinking person. I like looking at the future and the present and living in it, but I can get real retro real fast. I can really get taken by, and it's not even nostalgia. I just love so much stuff from the 1980s and the 70s. I love that stuff. And even when I was a teenager, I was always looking back at all the great music that was there before and all the great movies that were there before. So for me, culturally, I love it. I love it. And I love new horror. I just love how innovative the filmmakers are and how exciting it is. Slick it looks, how these days, the digital effects and the cameras just give you so much production value. But I will never forget my love for trashy horror films of the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. The trashier, the better. I just love that stuff. And I know there's going to be a ton of it at Retro Weekend. I'm looking at all the blurbs. I'm looking at everything coming up on Facebook, and it sounds awesome. So I can't wait for that. I've been going through my old boxes of just one of the guys' memorabilia, and I found a few T-shirts, and I found some interesting props that were funny props that worked in the movie, things we gave out to the crew and the cast. I found a whole bunch of stuff. I found a big pile with all of the call sheets that are handed out every day and tells everybody on the cast and crew exactly what we're shooting the next day. And they're fun. They have jokes on them. They have little notifications on them. All our names are on them. And I wanted to keep them, so I'm having them bound into a book, and I think I'll make a few copies of that book and bring it to see if anybody wants that. I think that would be a fun thing to have for if you're a fan of the film, and if you really are interested in how these films are made. You can really read a call sheet, and if you read the whole call sheet book, you can kind of see the whole film on these, basically what are now Excel spreadsheets, but back then were just, a certain standardized form that every film used. So I'll have some of those. I'm still hunting around for other artifacts. We'll see what I can find. I moved last year, and I emptied a couple of storage places that I was renting. Because, you can put your stuff in those places and never go to it again, but pay rent on it every month. And I just thought, no, I'm going to go through this stuff, and I want to get all my old stuff back, sell some of it, keep the best part of it, and just kind of share all these great artifacts with the fans of just one of the guys who are coming to Retro Weekend. So we'll see what I can come up with.
Awesome. As far as other people from that movie, who else is going to be there?
I know Clayton Rohner is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Ari Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Hudson is coming.
Nice.
Trying to think. I think there's someone else. I think we've got one more on there. I'm looking to see if I have the one of the ads anywhere. But I know at least that bunch. So we will at least have a table with 4 people. But I think there's a 5th person. I just don't remember who it is.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's Joyce or somebody, or Deborah.
I called Deborah, and it was up in the air. She was thinking about it, what her schedule was. Joyce, I know, I saw her when I was in LA, and Joyce can't make it to this one. There's an event that weekend for their, she and her husband run a camp for underprivileged kids in the mountains in Sierras. It's just a beautiful spot, and they have to either be there or be at a big event that happens every Memorial Day weekend. It might be they do various fundraising stuff, and I think
Right.
they do a bunch of it that weekend. So I know it's not Joyce. So I can't think of who else. Well, you know what? If it's only Clayton, Tony, Ari, and I, it'll still be a great time.
Mm-hmm. Last October, I went to a horror con that Sherilyn Fenn was supposed to be at, and she had to cancel at last minute. I was pretty devastated, but she's booked at this other one in June of this year that I can't wait to go to. I just hope she doesn't cancel on that one too.
Well, she's great. She's just wonderful. We tried to get her to come to one reunion where we did a big screening in the Cinema Familias or something like that. It's in Hollywood. They do they'll find a print for their favorite film, and they fill the room, and they do we did a panel after. It was great. It was all up on Facebook, and we nearly had her for that one. We did. We were all sending her messages and all calling her, and I think she's got her hands full. She's got a family. She's got other stuff going on, and I think there's a real impulse to say yes and jump in. But if something else comes up, I don't think it's the highest priority for her. Mainly because she hasn't done one. Everybody who does one of these loves it and can't wait to do the next. There's something great about hanging out with all these other filmmakers and actors and actresses and getting a flavor of everyone's work and interacting with really dedicated fans who are interesting and funny and insightful when they tell you what your film meant to them. It's a really great experience for us to interact with these avid people, and I think if Sherilyn showed up, she'd know that and she'd come back for more. So we'll get her out one of these days.
I hope so, yeah. She was always my favorite in the movie in terms of I thought she was super hot.
Well, and as well, you were meant to think that, so that's good. She was wonderful. She is really gifted and gifted natural on the screen. It's really fun to watch her. Just kind of be spontaneous, be in the moment. And one of my favorite scenes in the film is when she takes Terry and Clayton and her young cousin to their date at the cave.
Yeah.
And, we were rehearsing that, and we were having trouble figuring out how she's going to reach her hands in his pants.
Mm-hmm.
Her, Terry as a he, pants. And we were working on it and rehearsing it and doing it like erotically based,
Mm-hmm.
really work. And then I just thought, you know what, we're having so much fun. Just lie there and look at each other and crack each other up, and then don't grab her. And maybe if you feel like kissing a little or trying to kiss her, try to kiss Terry. If that doesn't work, tickle her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she did. And then while Terry was laughing, this is Joyce laughing her ass off on this mat on the floor in an empty room in the rehearsal hall, which, in this dead high school where we shot half of the movie, but also had our offices and our screening room and our wardrobe and all this stuff. And, they were laughing so hard, and then she just stuck her hand in her pants, and Terry got left up in shock, and I said, that's it. That's the scene. So I love that collaboration with talented actors who are willing to be funny, to make mistakes, to embarrass themselves a little. Nothing's more embarrassing than losing control. When people tickle you and you lose control, you don't necessarily want anybody to watch you lose that control. So I was just thrilled at that. So that was a combination. That was Joyce and Sherilyn working together with me to bring a scene to life, and that's what writer-directors love more than anything else. So that's the Sherilyn anecdote.
Yeah, Joyce told me about Sherilyn tickling her, and that she was she's annoyed by tickling. I personally enjoy it.
Well, I'm very ticklish, and usually everybody around me would know that. So, I grew up often getting tickled, and what I realized is that it's a great tool to use if you're trying to get two people to be awkwardly intimate with each other. It just is. Because you can't help but laugh. You can't help but be a little embarrassed. So it just works.
I agree.
I love her, and I think eventually she'll be at one of our events.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think that that movie is just, it's grown in popularity all the time in terms of cult success because, like I told you before, I was just obsessed with that movie growing up, and it's timeless.
Well, I love that there's interest in it. I wish Sony would make a Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, after all this time, I know a lot of people around Sony because I did a lot of cuts for all the deliverables for the television sales, the European sales. By contract, if you're a director who's in the Directors Guild of America, you have to approve all these cuts. And I worked very hard to keep the film funny. They have a tendency, if there's a picture of a topless woman behind one of the actors on his wall, there were Playboy centerfolds all over Billy's wall, Buddy's wall, her brother, and very funny scenes where he had all the punchlines, and they just cut out the punchlines. Like they'd have Joyce setting it up, and then the punchline was gone because if they cut to Buddy, you would see boobs.
Yeah.
And boobs are a problem for some people. I like them just fine, but no boobs. So I said, you're killing the comedy. Please, you're comedy criminals here. All I'm trying to do is keep what's really funny in this comedy. It's a comedy with lots of really funny writing in it and funny performances. So let's buzz the boobs in that scene and save the comedy, and I'll trade that for something else that we'll cut out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
revealing her booth, Rebecca Booth, to Clayton after the prom, during the prom, in order to convince him that she's actually a woman. This is the other best scene, and I said I'll be here to help you make some judicious cuts, and it should this version not slide. They called me back 4 days later and said the guys at NBC called me to say, where's the ball scratching scene? And the post-production supervisor, head of post-production, said, well, can you show someone scratching their balls and talking about it, discussing it during prime time? Do you need a separate cut for prime time, a separate cut for late night? And they said, you can talk about balls, you can scratch balls during prime time. So that was the quote of the year for me. I just let everybody know on NBC, balls can be scratched during prime time. Good to know. Good to know. So these are all the machinations, the vicissitudes of filmmaking. It's like, please don't wreck the comedy. I'll come in and I'll make it all work for you. At any rate, whenever I bring up the Blu-ray, they would often say, well, at this time, there may not be demand. At this time, we don't know if we have the elements to do it. It was shot on film. It was shot in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
It went through the whole process, beautifully colorized, beautifully completed. I know they're hesitant when they don't have digital masters. These days, they want the most beautiful digital master imaginable, and they don't feel they can get that from movies that were made, before everything was both film and digital, and then merely digital. They're very digitally oriented to fix up a print. It's just more complicated and a little more expensive, I think, to make a Blu-ray from it. Although they do it with old movies all the time. If they really think that old movie has a base that will buy it. Now, I keep telling them this movie is more and more popular. Every year it is in the universe. You'd be stupid to not put this out. It will work. So I would ask your listeners to email Sony Pictures. Email Sony Pictures. And you could address Sony Pictures /post-production. You could say Sony Pictures /production. It could be anything that would sort of get the eye of someone there and say, I'm still waiting for a Blu-ray of just one of the guys, one of the best comedies made in the 1980s. Where are you guys on this? And the more of those they get, the more they will be motivated to do that.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I mean, it's just, I'm so shocked that it hasn't made Blu-ray. And I had no idea that it even aired on NBC. I remember seeing it on one of our local UHF stations when I was a kid, and stuff was cut out. And I saw it on Comedy Central a lot, but I never knew it was on NBC.
Comedy Central, we were on it every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Before that, in LA, the first ever cable channel that just ran movies was called Z Channel, and they ran it all the time. And when HBO started, then they ran it all the time. I joked, I said, somewhere in the world, at any time, any moment, somewhere in the world, it's on TV. Hopefully, it's its full cut, the original cut, but even if it's something we cut for TV, that's fine, I'll take it. I checked into a hotel room one day, turned on the TV, looked, and said, well, that looks familiar. It was just one of the guys. It took me 4 or 5 seconds to figure out, yeah, well, it should look familiar. It happened to me more than once. Check in a hotel room, put the TV on in the background, boom, there it is. So I certainly hope that can happen, and I always we'll tell everybody that when we have retro weekends or the Hollywood weekends.
Mm-hmm. Two things I wanted to bring up that I didn't get to bring up last time. One is, I love the opening shot of the movie with Joyce laying there on the bed because her belly button is showing, and I'm a belly button fanatic. I love that.
Excellent. Well, I'll let her know.
Yeah.
It's still pretty tight. I'll tell you that. It looks great. Defies time completely. She's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, Tony too. I mean, have you ever seen her belly button?
Absolutely perfect. I love Tony. I think she's gorgeous and hilarious and brilliant, and I can't wait to hang out with her.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of fun with her.
Yeah, I have fun talking to her on the podcast. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, what was it like working with Kenneth Tiger?
Oh, Ken is so incredibly talented. He's an old friend. I knew him because, you move to Los Angeles, maybe you get a deal. I mean, I had a movie that won a Student Academy Award and a lot of film festivals, so I was really welcomed. I had an agent. I got paid to write a screenplay. But still, you do things to kind of fill your time. You do things where you can stay creative. You can jump in. And I'd always been a theater nerd as well as a film nerd, so I joined this troupe that was starting for the theater group that was going to workshop stuff. We were going to do readings a couple of times a week, and so many people who were playwrights were also screenwriters, and I was directing a lot of these things, and I was also writing, and I said, well, can't we, one night a week, we should do a stage reading of a screenplay of our playwright members. So we started doing that as well. And Ken was in that group, and his partner was my writing partner, his life partner, my writing partner, when I did these rewrites on just one of the guys. And his name is Mr. Giannunzio, and he's a very talented playwright.
Mm-hmm.
Ken has been in a number of plays that I worked on or was associated with. We knew each other well. We were good friends. And I had cast somebody else, another theater friend of mine, who the studio didn't like for some reason. They like to get in there and change a couple of things that are kind of minor and feel like they did it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got in, we made our mark. So I said, well, I put Ken on tape and sent it in, and they said yes. So they wanted somebody a little older, who looked more like a teacher,
Yeah.
So create more age difference between all these high school students who were out of high school for quite a while. My cast was not 18. The truly high school-aged people were Billy Jane, who played Buddy, the horny brother,
Yep.
and Sherilyn Fenn. Sherilyn Fenn was very young. She was like 17 or something, 16 or 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew Ken from the theater world, and I knew I could totally trust him. I mean, he comes so prepared. He did a great job. He's a dear friend, and he's still working, but he does theater all the time. Occasionally he'll show up in a TV show, but
Yeah.
his central thing is he does lots of plays, and they're living on the East Coast now.
Mm-hmm.
And they see Deborah all the time, because she's on the East Coast now, so
Yeah.
they're all in Connecticut.
Yeah. I also found out that he was in The Proposition with Jane Curtin and Fred Grandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea that he was in that group. I saw this interview that he did. It was on YouTube, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
He was in, Larry David did a play, too. Larry David had a play on Broadway, a little comedy, and Ken had a really night's role in that. He works all the time. He's very well respected. He's great.
Mm-hmm. And what's the status of Black Friday?
Black Friday. You know, I have to find at some point $10,000 or $15,000 laying around somewhere in order to do some technical finishes on it. We cut it back. We cut it on a format. Now we have to transfer it to another format and finalize it. And it's just a costly step. You know, you shoot in certain ways, cut in certain ways. Then you have to conform everything. So I have a kind of a big job and to do titles and to finish all the music. And I think it'd be great to jump into it sometime this summer. I have some open space in there, and I might do it. Otherwise, I might do just a rough, finish on it, just polish the edges and put it up on YouTube and see what happens. See if anybody salutes, you know what I mean? See if it can find its audience. I think it deserves, in a way, it really deserves to be finished the way you would finish a film that you were putting out and trying to build an audience for, and maybe even trying to sell and find distribution for. I can imagine foregoing that and just putting it up there. It's pretty loose and free and fun and young, and there's nobody famous in it.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's a kind of an internet star who was in it at the time. So I haven't really decided. I don't really have a source for that hunk of money at this point. But I don't know. I'm not actively looking at the moment. I'm working on some other things, but it's sitting there, and I'm enormously fond of it, and it gets a lot of laughs when I show it, and the cast and the crew loved it, so I know I want it to be seen. I don't know how many months I want to spend finishing it, I'm not good at all that technical stuff. I usually like to hire somebody to do all that technical stuff and do it perfectly. I don't like to suffer through it. I'm much more the creative person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope you get that movie released and stuff, because, oh my God, so many directors these days are having trouble getting their independent films released.
So hard to do, and of the 4 movies I made, 2 of them were very well released. One being just one of the guys' big hits, the other being Cadillac Rant's big indie hit, had a limited run for a number of weeks in a lot of theaters around the country, stuck around for a few months in Texas where it was shot. Texas likes Texas movies, is what we learned.
Mm-hmm.
They came out for us. And another movie I made that played a ton of film festivals and did very well, but never ended up getting released. It was sold to a company, and they just got a video deal, put it right on video. That's Across the Moon, the film I made with
Love that movie.
Elizabeth Pena, Peter Berg.
Love that movie.
Yeah, Burgess Meredith. It's actually, that one I'm very proud of. It's really beautiful. It was shot by Andrei Sekula, who did Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Looks gorgeous. It's my desert movie. Everybody has a desert movie. Everybody does a Mojave movie, where it's expected of us. So I'd like to get that one seen very much. But this is the crapshoot that is involved in getting movies released. 9 out of 10 movies that get made, you'll never see. They don't even get finished. because they run out of money and nobody wants to buy them and cover. There's just so many movies out there now. It's great. It's the democratization of filmmaking, and anybody with a digital camera and the moxie to put together a bunch of talented people can make a film, and you could theoretically get it into Sundance. But these things are difficult. There's a ton and a half of competition on everything. Doesn't mean you don't try. I say try. And just like I say, if you have to, your only option is to put it up on YouTube and then try to generate interest in it as best you can over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And so be it. Get it out there. Have your stuff seen. Build your body of work. I have a 4-feature film and about a half a dozen TV series and a whole bunch of screenplays. That's my body of work. It's a big pile of stuff. But as far as how much of it is available for the public to enjoy, it's going to be the things that stick around, that have made money, that are successful in that way, because that's the stuff that they make a Blu-ray out of, which leads me back to telling all the fans of Just One of the Guys, write to Sony Pictures, demand a Blu-ray of Just One of the Guys, and maybe we'll get it.
Yes, hopefully we will get it. I'm fucking praying for that.
Me too.
Oh, I got some jokes for you, Lisa.
Okay.
You know why the Easter Bunny likes to hide his eggs?
Why?
So no one will see how tiny his dick is.
There you go.
I told that one to my cashier at the supermarket on Easter. She was cracking up.
Excellent. Cracking up the cashier. I like that. Good audience.
And then, okay, here's a long one, but it always makes people laugh. Cinderella is about to go to the ball, and she's on her period, and the fairy godmother gives her these magic tampons and says, okay, you can go to the ball, but you have to be home by midnight or else they'll turn into a pumpkin. And she says, okay, fairy godmother, I will. So 12:30 rolls around, and fairy godmother is pacing around the house angry because Cinderella hasn't shown up yet. So Cinderella does show up at 4 a.m., and she's stumbling drunk. And fairy godmother says, where were you? You were supposed to be home by midnight. And Cinderella's like, I'm so sorry, fairy godmother. I met this great guy. His name was Peter.
Peter. Wait. He was stumbling around, and it came midnight, and she was still out.
Yeah, she was.
And her tampon became a pumpkin? Peter. Okay,
Oh.
I got it. Took me a sec. Woo.
Yeah, certain people it takes them a second, but other people, they get it right away.
Boy, I'm usually pretty good at that, but I needed to think it through. Oh, as if it were a cute little multiple choice question on the SAT. Listen to the words, read the words. A Jeopardy question. Read the answer.
Yeah.
The question is in the answer. So you do stand up.
Yeah.
So I remember I read a post that you put up on Facebook that you weren't going to do stand up in San Francisco anymore. That you got you felt that they weren't funny anymore. They were too critical of. What was the problem? Yes,
I'll tell you something. I'm a guy. I'm not a follower and I'm not a joiner. I'm always done things my way. I've always been my own person. I was like that in school. I got bullied a lot, and I got bullied a lot in Bay Area stand-up comedy. They just are assholes. You know, they're alpha males. The women are feminists. You can't say anything to them without them being offended over there. It's just, oh my God, not the environment of comedy that I want. And I'm going to be moving to LA this year. And, you know, I listen to all the podcasts of all the LA comedians and stuff. That's like more my style, because they seem really cool. I mean, they're very high maintenance and stuff. You got to work hard to impress them, but they're not they don't seem like they're jerks on the same level as San Francisco comics are.
I think this thing in San Francisco is, I've read a lot about this. Because I read a book by a woman named Lindy West, who wrote a book about being a loud woman. That's kind of why I read it. Being a loud woman and what that position that puts you in the culture. But it was really more about that she was very fat and loud. It was a lot about her weight. But she talked a lot about how she did comedy in San Francisco, and she couldn't get any respect,
Right.
And that it was a big struggle, and that everyone was trying to figure out what was proper and what wasn't, and that there was a period where she felt there were too many rape jokes, guys making rape jokes, and she questioned it and was mocked for that, and then all the trolls were telling her they were going to rape her. It was just this moment, that happened on the internet where everyone said, she's right. And I know that and that was years ago, and that they were trying to do something in San Francisco to make it a space that was raw and funny and challenging and transgressive and all those things you want from a good comedy scene, but it also had these sensitivities, didn't go in those directions. So I was asking you because I'm just wondering how things like that work themselves out, and it sounds to me like you're going to have more fun in LA.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's the San Francisco scene is just so fucked up, And I'll tell you, there's a reason why very few comedians that are successful come out of San Francisco. It's because there's a weird energy over there, and people just are in a comfort zone. They don't want to leave. They want to stay there and just perform there and stuff. It's a weird thing that's just so hard to describe,
It's a very easy town. People are there. They don't want to think about any place else. They stay there. LA's got a different vibe. It's just, so transient there. You have a new BFF every year. So it just has that feeling of people coming and people going all the time. But it's just a very vibrant comedy scene. And if you're going to be seen by people who are looking for funny people to cast, LA is the place, not San Francisco.
I agree.
LA and New York, but New York's tough. LA's the pushier.
I'd go to LA to visit. Go to New York to visit, but I wouldn't live there.
Too expensive, man. It's crazy. The cost of living is terrifying. All these empty buildings that are luxury, millions of dollars of apartments that nobody ever lives in. It's just, they're laundering their money. It's amazing what they did to New York, my town. The town I grew up in, it's the greatest city in the world, and they just kind of emptied it out and filled it with rich people who are not there.
Yeah.
And then on the ground level is the smoking section. So everybody's sitting out on the stoops, and these sullen Asian students, lots of them, and everybody's just smoking cigarettes. You're walking around the city just waving the smoke away. It's crazy right now. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's insane, but...
So are you coming to Cleveland over Memorial Day weekend?
Oh, I wish I could. I don't do that much traveling. I was in LA 2 weeks ago for a week down there to go to a horror convention and see some friends and stuff. And I don't really travel that much and stuff. I would love to. I've never even been to Ohio.
Well, Cleveland's interesting because it's not that there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. You know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there. There's great art galleries, some great restaurants. But when there's a beautiful lakefront, we're in a hotel near the airport. You know, just like Hollywood show. And that's where we are. We won't be anywhere else. We'll come from the airport, be at the hotel, and then when it's all over, we'll be back at the airport. So you're not going to really experience Cleveland or Ohio, which is the land of corn and soybeans, has some very pretty towns in it, but it's a pretty depressed state in general. It doesn't have a really strong economy. So it's part of that whole Midwestern Rust Belt, used to do better when we used to actually manufacture things, and people had jobs. So it's just not as exciting. There's more beautiful places to see in America. If you're limited in your travel, I think you can leave Cleveland off your list.
Yeah, someday we'll get to meet somewhere. I mean, I remember the last time we talked, you had mentioned that there was going to be like a fundraiser screening for just one of the guys, but it didn't happen, right?
So far, not. Last time I talked to Joyce, they tried to put it together for the spring, but she went to Sony and she was very demanding. She wanted them to strike a new print.
Mm-hmm.
I said I thought there's a really good-looking digital master that we screened when we did the first big reunion in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
and I suggested that one. Just get a copy of that. I'm not sure where that's at now, but if it was going to be scheduled for the spring, she would have let me know by now. So it might be after the summer. It might be during the summer. I'm not sure.
Well,
I can't tell you for sure, but I hope it happens. And when it happens, come on over and be our guest.
yeah, I mean, my move to LA will be a trial run to see if I can get anything going out there. And if it's there, summertime, fall, winter, I'll definitely be there.
Mm-hmm. Super. Sounds good.
So,
I will keep you in mind, and I'll stay in touch with you over that. I'll message you if I get word on any of that.
awesome. So Retro Invasion is when?
It's there's an opening party on Thursday, the 30th of May. The 31st of May, on Friday, it opens, and it's happening on the Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday. It's at, I want to say, the Westin Hotel near the airport, but if they go to the Retro Fest website, or get on, it's being advertised on Facebook, but there's a website. I should dig that out while I have you, right?
Mm-hmm. Go right ahead.
Okay, let me see. Okay, okay, so Retro Invasion Weekend. It's www.retroinvasionweekend.com. On Twitter, it's #RetroInvasionWeekend. No spaces on anything. So you can get the whole schedule and all the info, by going to Retro Invasion
Okay.
It's at the DoubleTree by Hilton, Cleveland/Westlake. And starts May 31st at 4 p.m., ends June 2nd at 4 p.m.
Okay, May 31st to June 2nd, Retro Invasion. Go check out Lisa and Tony and the rest of the cast of Just One of the Guys.
Absolutely. And I guess the cast of Sleepaway Camp, some
Yep.
of those Nutburgers from Animal House, and a whole bunch of horror films. Joe Bob Briggs is coming.
Love Joe Bob.
Yeah. Some people from Army of Darkness. A lot of stuff. Let's see. Who else? I'm looking for people I recognize. Teen Ape Goes to Camp. Sex Squatch. Zombie Ass Kicker. I don't know these, but
Yeah,
you know
me neither.
what? Looking forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lisa, I hope it turns out to be a lot of fun for you, and that everyone will, basically, bother Sony into releasing the Blu-ray for Just One of the Guys.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely. I think, I tell everybody to do it, and I know there's always a bit of excitement for a few days. Like, I'll hear that they got a lot of calls, but they still haven't called me, so we'll keep up the pressure, and hopefully we'll get a Blu-ray out of it.
mm-hmm. Lisa, you are such a cool lady. Thank you so much for coming back on.
And thank you, Tommy. This was really fun, and we'll do it together anytime. Anytime we have an event to promote or something to talk about, it would be great.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, you have yourself a great rest of your day over there, and I'll tag you on this on Facebook, and I hope you have a good Memorial weekend at Retro Invasion.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have a great time. You take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Lisa Gottlieb. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm glad that we got to talk more about Just One of the Guys and your upcoming movie, Black Friday. I hope it gets released, and Retro Invasion. And you're really cool. Can't wait to talk again in the future and finally meet you. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.